down, let's have a drink and enjoy the show.
Today's guest is Charlie from Cooking Secrets for Men. Let's go to the show. Hey everybody, welcome. I am Tom, the Sunday Dinner Chef, and our guest today is Charlie from Cooking Secrets for Men.
Tom, how's it going?
Charlie, it's been going real good. Really, really good. How you been,
Can
okay?
you play that music again, please?
Oh, yeah. Hold on one second. All right, let me start it again.
The Sunday Dinner Chef will make you feel fine. Sit down, let's have a drink and enjoy the show.
The one you just had out a day or so ago. I'm kind of behind on it, but whoever was singing sang the name of what you were making.
Oh yeah, yeah. I got a couple of them like that. Yeah, it's. I'll explain it to you later on down the road. What's going on? So how you been? Okay.
Been doing well. Now I got my knee replaced early December, and on the mend. I'm lucky enough to have my physical therapy here in my building, and secondarily, my trainer that I also here in my building was working with me the 6 months prior to the surgery to get me ready for the surgery and prepare for PT. And so I'm well ahead of schedule. After 2 weeks, the doctor said, you're off the charts. If you want to drive, you have no limitations right now. So going well.
You came out of it much better than what I remember other people having it done. Really, really did.
Well, I give a lot of credit to my trainer for both suggesting and implementing a plan to make sure that I was ready for the surgery. I had done a lot of work, in the areas around the knee to strengthen that. So when I came back, I was actually ahead of the game, and then they were pretty good about getting me into. I came back from the hospital on Wednesday, and I was at PT on Friday.
Wow. And you hear so many different horror stories out of it and everything. But you know what? It's up to the individual too, I think.
Well, I do have the strength of 10 men, so I'm.
You are the cooking secret for men. That's for sure.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
No,
Terry,
I'm very lucky. Very lucky.
Terry, hello. How you doing? Just saying hello to the chat here. Also, when I thanked my doctor, my orthopedic doctor, not to turn this into a medical thing, but
we're old, and that's what we talk about.
Yeah. I thanked him for being straightforward with me, okay? Because the knee that I have problems with, I did break, and I have screws in it, plates. Then in my ankle, I have a screw in there also. So he said to me, Mr. Garvey, he said, I got to be honest with you, straight up honest with you, that guess what? You'll be back here in 6 months to get another replacement because you walk crooked. And that's the way it was set up. And it wouldn't do you any good. He said, every 6 months you'd be back in here for the pain. So I thanked him for that. And now I have a different road that I'm traveling down. So other than that, so the whole purpose of me doing this right here is to I want to bring people on that are foodies or like to cook and no bones about it. Now different ways. Now you just came back from Italy not too long ago, and I was very intrigued with that because I'm looking for for other ways of cooking, fresh ingredients, none of this other stuff, and yeah, I just want to start. Just all I want to do is talk about the food. So, I started out last week. A couple days ago, I should say. I started out with this, and Marie said, it sounded like you were not rambling, but you were getting into it. Where I used to get done with work, after a long shift, and go into the city and have my favorite foods and stuff. So, hands down, hands down, Italian food is my favorite, which I know is yours. So. Yep. What is your overall favorites? I'm not going to say favorite, but favorites that you indulge in.
Well, I mean, if I could eat pasta every day, I would.
Okay.
in any form. I just had some. So for my I started a new podcast, which is our basically foodies in Milwaukee. It's called Munching Around Milwaukee, and I have a chef who has a food service business where he delivers fresh meals, similar to all the national ones that you get frozen and come to your door. His are fresh, and he delivered it. But it was a Korean chicken over udon noodles with a little Korean barbecue. It had noodles in it, so
There you go.
as far as I was concerned, that worked for me. I love pasta. I love it in many different ways. The simplicity of Italian cooking, as we've discussed, is to be lauded and hopefully copied in how people approach, as opposed to putting 50 things in a dish. You check out some of the Italian, the classic Italian dishes, 3 and 4 ingredients at the most.
Yeah, exactly.
I like. I do. I do like spaghetti and meatballs, which you cannot get in Italy because there's no such thing.
Right.
But I like to make fresh pasta on occasion. I like to make the meatballs. I like the simplicity of a simple green salad in Italy. A little oil and vinegar, maybe a little salt and pepper. That's it. No, 20 things on top. It's just simple. There are some. I mean, I have made. I made a crispy artichoke pasta when I was in Italy because I saw it made somewhere and decided I wanted to copy that, and I did that. I had that professional chef come in, and we cooked together when I was in Lucca, Italy.
He did the shrimp. You did that shrimp dish,
right? Shrimp, not carpaccio, tartare, shrimp tartare on a crostini. It looks elegant. It looks, but it's very simple.
Yeah.
I mean, Parmesan cheese and olive oil in a blender, and you put it on a piece of toast, and you chop up some shrimp.
It doesn't get any simpler than that, and that's the whole idea. People overcomplicate things with it. Marie and myself, we on a Sunday or whatever, we will sit down with the most simplest, easiest thing ever, and it doesn't have to be, starch or protein, this and that. Just simple, very, very simple. She was telling me a story about she would go into the city to her mom. I think there was 12 or 13 in the family. So later on, couple sisters lived together, their husbands died, whatever. That's what the part that scares me. But anyway, they died early. All their husbands. Meg's Mysteries. That sort of gets me. Anyway, we would. She said they would sit down and the simplest of simple, and at the end, a couple of the uncles that were there would sit there and they would take lettuce, okay, and romaine lettuce, all right, and just dip it into their wine and eat it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just simple ways of finishing up. A little wedge of cheese or some salami or something like that. Was pretty ordinary stuff. I like that. I really do. So overcomplicating things, making I got to make a lasagna and this and that. No, take your time with it. It's fairly simple.
I made we had a dish last night, which was my wife bought a spaghetti squash, and she said, "Well, what can you do with this spaghetti squash?" And I want to back up. My wife had worked and just retired right before we went to Italy, so she's been retired 4 months now, and 2 of them which we were in Italy. Mm-hmm. So she started to cook again. She's a very good cook, but she sometimes will just go to the store and buy stuff and not really have a plan, which is the direct opposite of what I do. But she said, I have the spaghetti squash. And she said, well, can you make something? I've got to go to a meeting and I said, let me think about it. So I did. So I just thought about it. I said, I looked at our specials in our local Kroger. Shrimp was $5.99 a pound. So I roasted the spaghetti squash and then cooked the shrimp in a little garlic, lemon, wine, a couple crushed red peppers. That was dinner. And I scooped out the spaghetti squash, pretending it's pasta, and the shrimp, so it's very simple, but interesting, different, but using ingredients on hand other than the shrimp, which was on sale for $5.99. So I got I got to do something with the shrimp.
Yeah, and that's the key right there. A lot of times I'll go to the store with one intention, okay, and then turn around and come back with something totally different. That's why I like even on the keto side of it. All right, I don't add nothing from a box or anything else like that. On this one, I like to relax. Okay, you know what? I feel like having some pasta today, or make a little bit of pasta, and I'll make it fresh. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a little. It's a little more simpler, but I do have time on my hands to make it, let it dry it a little bit and get it prepped up and stuff. But simple ingredients are the best. Overcomplicating things are. I had one person get a hold of me and said, "Do you have any food plans for during the week on this channel? Other than just Sunday dinner and stuff?" No, I don't. Sorry, but if you're working and stuff like that, what I do on this channel here is on the weekends, hoping that people will start sitting down family dinners again, or cooking,
right.
just for the family. That's lost. I think I think we're losing that. It's fallen by the wayside.
Oh, I agree. I mean, it's Sunday, even if it's just the two of us, Saturday and or Sunday is the day to spend time in the kitchen making something that's a roast or a roast chicken or something that it's really not. Even though we're not working, I still don't want to spend 2 or 3 hours in the kitchen on a weeknight.
Right.
But Saturday and Sunday, that's the key. And hopefully when we go to Florida, my other son is coming down he's in Vermont. So we'll have one Sunday that I know we'll cook a Sunday dinner.
Yeah, everybody together and stuff. Yeah, I mean, even right now, I mean, with my grandsons and stuff, my daughter and everything, they work. They work on the weekends, and it's kind of hard to bring everything together. And if we do, it's only for a couple hours anyway. So yeah, it's pretty well. The other day I was talking about when I would get done work after a shift. Okay, then it was my time. I mean, I'd smell like a lobster. Still have my whites on. Jump in the car and go 30 miles into the city. And go a couple different Italian restaurants. Thinking back about it, that was some of the best times of my life.
Sure.
It really was. To turn around and go in and try different foods, how they were prepared, and the camaraderie. Just talking with very easy to have somebody from the back come out and ask them, well, how'd you do this and what's your prep work on this and stuff like that. They were very receptive to me about it. That's
exactly what I'm doing with this new podcast. So I've had 2 episodes, just finished the second one yesterday, and they were kind of foodies. One was just a guy who went around and he goes everywhere. And the one yesterday was a guy who's a friend who owned who's a Greek American who owned an Italian restaurant and a Mexican restaurant, both very successful. But he will tell you that not only did the Greeks invent everything, if they didn't, then they made it better. But he's not really a cook. But the next couple of weeks, I have chefs coming in from local restaurants, and they're going to bring something and explain how they make it, what the inspiration was for it. And then, I mean, this is a complete dodge for me because I have people come in, they either cook me something or they bring me something to eat.
Yeah. I watched the one. It was very good. It was pretty informative. And out here is what I tried to start doing. And then we get hammered, but I was going to start doing like reviews, but not in the way people would think I would do a review. I was going to go and explain how they cooked things and why they were doing it. Don't bash anybody. I don't bash nobody because I'm not in their shoes to understand what's going on in their kitchen. I have one restaurant that I frequent here. I talked to another person about it, and he said, that place, the sauce, he was right off the bat with me. The gravy was horrible. No gravy. Don't say gravy. Okay, but it was it's a Tuscany grill. It's a steakhouse, steak and seafood, Italian restaurant. So they're not known for their gravy. Okay, but the steaks and everything else that they prepare is fantastic. So for somebody to say that, that's just because it's generalization.
Didn't you do one? I mean, we're going back years, but I vaguely remember you going to a restaurant and talking to the owner, the chef. I mean, we're talking about 4 or 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed, I mean, that was, I think, am I dreaming this?
No.
I think that's when I first started following you, because I remember you were talking, it was someplace, I went actually in Las Vegas, so it was just outside, but it was Vegas, with the original old intro that you had. And then I just going into the restaurant and talk. Yeah, I vaguely have my addled brain is recalling something like that.
Yeah, the place was called Bootleg. It's still there. That's another favorite place I like to go to. Plus, it's old school. They've been there. They've been in Vegas since 1947. So the mother had just died. I think maybe 2 years ago. 100 years old. Great place. Great Italian food. Great entertainment. Piano bar. The whole bit. It was. That's what I started out to do. Okay. And then I backed off it and just went. I didn't have the time. Let's put it that way. But
the social media circle that I have been kind of getting involved with, a lot of influencers who lead to a lot of chefs, who lead to a lot of restaurateurs, and they all become friendly, and they all, so I've just gotten to know a lot of these people, and I can just call them. We have a restaurant next door, and I said, "Chef, I'm doing this show. I want you to come on and bring something." He said, "Okay, great. What time?" Okay, and so and I want to get a little traction with it before I start going out to the big shots. But they know who I am.
Yeah,
I mean, not you know who I am.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, from a social media standpoint, with the people that I'm really friendly with and who follow me, they're starting to be, oh, you're that guy who does the food show.
Yeah,
that's who I am.
And that's a great place to be because of not so much as an influence, but or your reach or anything else like that. It's the attitude. Okay, when you go in and start talking to people about it, people want to talk about it.
Yeah,
restaurant managers, restaurant owners, chefs, they want to talk about their place. Not only do they want to build it up, but talk about it, but in the same token, they're passionate about what they do.
Yeah, and it comes across. I mean, we have multiple, probably 5 or 6 restaurant groups in Milwaukee, and all of them. There's one that's very, very high end, and I don't mean high end, but it's just quality in everything they do. Most of them are very good. Mm-hmm. Most of them are reasonably priced, and they're all different and unique within the restaurant group. So right. You have one group that has a place called the Edison, which is kind of like a speakeasy place. Then he's got the Smoke Shack, and then he's got a hamburger joint, and then he's got. I mean, they're all different types mm-hmm. of foods. Some even different ethnicities, and they want to talk about their restaurant group.
Yeah,
I mean, that's exactly what they. Let me on there. Let me get some free advertising.
Like I said, when I get done work, it would be 2, 3 o'clock. Well, we wouldn't close until 2. I would start in the morning, 10 o'clock. Get ready to go through lunch. Prep for dinner, okay, and we would go from 5 to 11. Then I'd shut everything down at 11, and then whatever I had left over, I would make into a bar menu, okay. So I would make potato skins and stuff them with. If I had leftover prime rib, shaved prime rib, and stuff like that. But then I got tired of what I was doing, okay, at night, and go down to the bar, have a couple drinks, then go home. It was like going into the routine. So I started going into the city, and I got to tell you, I met a lot of great people, um, welcoming. Hello, come on in. Let me walk you in the back, and most of the kitchens you could walk to in the city was tiny, super small, and just for the quality of food that they were putting out and stuff like that, I thought that was fantastic. So my whole idea about bashing somebody, you know, this steak wasn't done the way I wanted, so guess what? I'll never go back there. First of all, don't do that. All right, everybody
Right.
has a bad day, okay, and if you talk to them, they're more receptive than just bashing somebody about. That's not good. I'm not never going back there again. It's not a good not a good way to or place to be. So
Yeah, it's just I've never understood the reviews. It just sounds like people whining. We had to wait 15 minutes, and then the waiter took another 10 minutes. It's like, shut up.
yeah, exactly. And most of the time, what I would do is I judge a place, okay, on appetizers, because you know what? That's not the easiest thing in the world to come out with right off the bat. Boom.
Right.
Okay. There was a place in New Brunswick, New Jersey. It's called Dominic's, an Italian restaurant. Dominic would spend a lot of time. The father would spend a lot of time in the city, checking out different stuff that sold, what people were looking for, and he would come up with some of their appetizers and bring it back into New Brunswick, into New Jersey. It was a high end place, but the food was really good, and it really showed. And he always told me, "Hey, listen," he said, "you want to up your game a little bit, whatever. Go to different places, okay? Check them out, ask questions, watch what's going on." And
Absolutely.
that actually paid off for me anyway. So now that I'm old, all right, I try to keep moving, try to keep things rolling, because or going back into my, especially on this channel, the Sunday Dinner Show, go back into my Rolodex up here and some of the books. Charlie, I opened up one of my books to look at something. Can't read it. It should have been in Swahili, for crying out loud, because I couldn't understand a word, what it was. I could see purple stains on it, so I must have had some wine when I was writing it. So, but that's the part of it that, um, and try to replicate stuff as far as ingredients and stuff like that. A lot of stuff you can't find,
Right.
um, or make it in a different light or a different way. So I liked all the Italian appetizers. I clams casino, clams oregano, okay, mussels, all different stuff, and then infusing it a little bit with some Cajun seasonings and stuff like that, just to change it up a little bit. But that's always been my go-to stuff. You get
Yeah.
pasta, out. You can get pasta anywhere, but to get a special dish, okay, off the menu is really good.
Well, I just from personal experience, when we're having any sort of party or get together, the hardest thing to take care of is the appetizers,
Yeah.
because it just doesn't roll off. You don't really have appetizers during the week. You don't make Oh, let's have an appetizer, then we'll have dinner. You don't do that.
Right.
So, yeah, you're right. You have to almost have a strategy and craft it and figure out what's a go-to, and then I keep a pretty extensive um, list of menus and stuff, so I can go back and look at it. But off the top of my head, I just it kind of cringes to think that I've been cooking all this time and I can't think of something to have for a company.
Yeah.
It is difficult though.
I
That's
I I I used to make everybody cry. I would, like I said, when you get done work, go into a couple different. Now you're talking 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, okay? And I would have galamad, right? Everybody, calamari, okay? I was taught to say galamad, all right? And the first time I went into a place called Vincent's, uh, I said, "Give me a dish of galamad with hot sauce." He went, "Hot sauce?" I said, "What do I speak, turkey?" "Yeah, hot sauce." Well, this guy went in the back. Charlie, it came out that the sauce looked purple. And I could not let on that it was hot. I mean, steam was coming out of my ears.
right.
It was fire. And here's was the icing on the cake for this guy, Vinny. It was the icing on the cake when I asked for a glass of Chianti, but put ice in it.
Did he love that?
Son of a bitch! Off he went. But
Did
me
you
and him
put ketchup on the spaghetti?
yeah, me and him, just to break his chops, but me and him became fast friends. He's long gone now, but at one point he would come down. He come walking in the kitchen. I kicked the door open in my kitchen. We had a brand new kitchen. Everything in our kitchen was Garland. It was a Garland product. It was a satellite kitchen that they would have in the Waldorf Astoria. That's how the salesman sold it to us and put all Garland equipment in. So we had steamers, the whole bit. When he kicked the door in, he came in, and waitresses are like, looking, who's this guy? He's a little short guy. He come in, he went, son of a bitch. He said, where are you at? He said, Children of the Corn. That's what, because we're out in the boonies, out in the middle of nowhere.
Children of the Corn.
I was so busy, okay, that I couldn't really mingle with him too much. But this crazy nut, he bought everybody, okay? That night we did, I think, close to 300 covers with dinners. Plus the bar was packed, the whole bit. He went and bought everybody a drink in the place. He told everybody a drink, okay? That's how close we became with that. You know what I mean?
Man.
And the thing of it was, he would tell me different places to go to. You want a good veal dish? Go up down the street by Ferraris. Okay, he's across the street from there. Is a place called Villa Penza. Villa Penza strategy was great. Okay, what they did was they had a building, but they went up to the second floor. They had a flight of stairs go up, and then into the building. It was all white. All right, and all the waiters had tuxedos on with the apron. All right, all broken English. They had the best veal ever I've ever had in this place, Villa Penza. And there again, it was across the street from Ferraris, but they would tell you which places to go to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially that late at night. So, and there again, like down in DC, that's where you're from and everything like that. What kind of experiences did you have there with different restaurants?
Well, when I was working in restaurants, I worked at country clubs through high school, and then when I was in college, I began working in country clubs. So it was a little bit different experience, and we would, for the most part, when we got off work, we would go down in our waiters and bartenders uniform, and then we'd go to Georgetown and drink. We weren't really eating; it was we were
drinking,
midnight or something. So we'd go to wherever the bars were open, which they always were in Georgetown till very late. I don't think I had a very discerning palate as a 20-year-old. I would have to say, we ate for sustenance. We ate for convenience. There wasn't a whole lot going on, and we ate country club food, so it was as lowest common denominator stuff. There's just you can name every dish on a country club menu by heart, steak Diane. All the prime rib. I mean, it was so simple and basic, but it's what you serve at a country club.
Yeah.
So I don't think I really got into learning about food until probably my early to mid 30s, and I started to hang out at there was Houston's restaurant. I think there's one left now in Houston, but Houston's was a big kind of a chain steak place. And I got to be very friendly with the staff and would hang out there. So I got to understand how everything worked and how they put out things and how how everything was prepared. And that's when I started to get a little more interested in something different and something that's tasty and not, going to fast food or whatever.
Yeah.
So, and then it just kind of took off from there. When I got married, my wife's work was a little more intense than mine. So I did a lot of the cooking, and I grew up in clubs and restaurants. So I knew my way around the kitchen. I just, I knew how to make, prime rib and a roast chicken and not a whole lot else. But it started to make my brain work that I don't want to have the same thing, or let's try something different. And that's kind of where it started. So I wasn't out like going to different restaurants in the big city. I was going to bars with all my friends, and we were just drinking till we fell down.
Yeah. We the thing was that I came. It was a rock and roll club when we first started with the place. But prior to that, all through high school, I flipped burgers at like it was a custom stand, an ice cream stand that had hot dogs and hamburgers on the one side. I did that. Also, I did. I had a hot dog wagon when I was real young, 12 to 14 or 15 years old. Every week. Doing that, and then 7 days a week, so I was always around it in food. My mom she was in charge of the school lunches back in the day, and she was the cafeteria manager. So she sort of pushed me in that direction. Then
that was my mom also.
Yeah, and then turn around to talk about going to college. They look at you like, or go to culinary school or anything like that. My dad looked at me and he went, "Not in the cards." I was the last. Okay. Right. Unless you can get a free ride somehow, he said, it's not in the cards, but I think you should go and learn. And that's what I did. I started washing dishes at the country club. All right. And then every once in a while, they would bring me up onto the line. Speaking about staff food, I would make all the staff, the waiters and waitresses, before the beginning of the shift, flank steak, mushrooms, mashed potatoes, and cook that. So the chef, he sort of took me under his wing a little bit there, and that's when we sort of took off. Then we opened up our own place. Okay, we had 3 bars in the place, and also had four bars, and we had this one little section where we would cook chicken sandwiches, on a grill and stuff like that. So that sort of took off, but then we turned the page and we opened full bore. And Charlie, I got to tell you what, it was busier than you can shake a stick at. Yeah. So the whole idea was I was constantly surrounded by food, doing this, placing orders, the whole bit, tripping and falling. Some stuff, trying to get my sea legs with it. We would do 200 pounds of lobster and sell out every night. Prime ribs, then we had shrimp, a whole line of steaks, whole line of seafoods and stuff like that. To the point where, after a while, then family, we didn't. Me and my brother had a falling out, and I moved on. I went down to a place called the Yankee Clipper down in Seagirt, New Jersey. That was a whole nother realm of things. In the summertime, some of the New York Giants would hang out there in this place, and upstairs we had fine dining. It was just a great experience, and I wish that the money didn't dry up in the restaurant business as far as a chef or workers. Now it's mostly investors that are in it, and they're just in it for whether they win, lose, whatever. But that's my opinion anyway. But I had a great experience, and that's what I've tried to do with these channels here is, hey, guess what? Everybody can cook.
Yeah.
I did on my analytics, I looked on both channels, okay? You know who followed me the most? 25 to 35-year-olds.
Really?
Yeah, and I was shocked at that. Really was shocked at that. But Mike, hello, how you doing? Mike's Chaotic Garden. He's the squirrel feeder. Mike,
squirrel. He's
got squirrels out front of his house. They're coming right up to him, taking nuts out of his hands. He's a great guy. He's got a great channel. He does indoor gardening, outdoor gardening. So pretty cool. But getting back to our food, I have a hard time when somebody says, "What's your favorite food?" I don't know. I like seafood. I like a lot of seafood, and that's the other thing on YouTube here. Seafood don't fly. It just does not work for some reason. People don't like to watch it.
Well, the reality, I think, is that unless you live near a body of water or the coast, I mean, the people who live on the Great Lakes or the people who live on either coast, seafood is not a big deal. It's part of it's easy to get. But the farther you go into the middle of the country, and I know this from moving from DC to Cincinnati, that DC is. We lived on Capitol Hill and Main Avenue. Fish market was something you'd go down, and there are these floating stores there on the water on Main Avenue. And you'd go and pick out either 8 or 10 or 12 different little stalls that on houseboats in the water where you get fish. And it was, when we lived in Michigan, or we have a place up in Michigan. That's whitefish comes out of the Lake Michigan, and they're easy to get. And but when we moved to Cincinnati, there isn't really a seafood restaurant, and anything that you go to the store and look for seafood, it's all frozen. So I think where you live in proximity to large bodies of water has a lot to do whether you grew up and you like and enjoy seafood.
Right.
And it's just, you go to Kansas City,
Yeah, exactly. No, I totally agree with you. I had not an argument, but I had a little discussion with a couple people about frozen seafood. Okay. So I said, well, unless you're a high-end, like a hotel casino out here, where seafood gets flown in daily, all right, and can pay that kind of money for it. There's one, not Wynn, I can't remember exactly what hotel it is, has a seafood buffet. It's $80 a person.
How much?
80. Okay, so now, but you look at it, they have limited lobster that they give you. You have crab legs, shrimp, some clams, a little bit of oysters, and some kind of codfish or something like that. That's not worth $80 to me. And I'm sorry, but it's just not.
No.
And it's there again. It's the touristy end of it. So I argued with this one person. I said, listen to me. Where I live, okay, if you see somebody with a fishing pole, they're out to rob you or something else, because we got Lake Mead here, but it just doesn't go well.
You don't want to pull anything out of Lake Mead.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Lake of Larry or something like that, So everything that comes in is fresh. So I said, if you go to a supermarket, okay, here, and they have a seafood section, that's all frozen stuff. I'm sorry, but that's what it is. So I said, sort of deal with it. And you know what? In the long run, I sort of like getting it frozen, because I know it is what it is.
It's usually fresh frozen. I mean, it's taken right in and frozen right away.
Right, exactly. So that's my argument with it. But seafood restaurants, there's not many here. There again, to the expense of it. A lot of steakhouses. Okay, and you know what's popping up now? More and more barbecue.
Yeah.
They're starting to get a competitive line here with some barbecue places. But the traditional Italian restaurants and stuff like that, it's all good stuff. It's all good food, and I like to cook at home. I can do, on a money standpoint, I can do it better, I think, at my house. But you still need to get out. You still need to go out and mingle with some people and try different restaurants, different foods and stuff. So
there's two seafood buffet stories that I have. So growing up and working in Lakewood Country Club in Rockville, Maryland, they had a seafood buffet every Friday, and the chef, Chef Louis, was French, had his chainsaw, and he would do ice carvings. And he always made a shrimp boat, so like a tanker, and then 2 holes on the side. He put the shrimp in, and always had lobster tails at the end. Smoked oysters. I mean, there's a lot of stuff I've never had before. Smoked oysters. Who eat?
Yeah,
I tried them. I said, these are pretty good.
Yeah, they're great.
And so I started to get. We lived in DC, so it was it wasn't that big a deal. It's just different things. The shrimp was always there. Then they had clams on the half shell, or oysters on the half shell, and clams casino, oysters Rockefeller, blah blah blah. So that's pretty nice. So fast forward, we have these friends that have more money than dirt. I mean, they are 1% of the 1%.
Okay.
My wife's best friends since they were in kindergarten. They went all through grade school together and have been best friends for close to 70 years, probably mid 65 years.
No.
They live down in Naples in Port Royal, which is Naples on steroids.
Yep, I know it.
And the Port Royal Club had a seafood buffet. I don't think they had it every week, but they had it every time we were there. We would go to the seafood buffet because our friends don't cook, and they're members of Port Royal. So we'd walk in there, and the first thing you walk in is a room that's as big as basketball court, and that's where the cold appetizers are. And it's a table that's it's 2 6-footers in the square. So 6 foot, it's 12 feet by 12 feet by 12 feet, and it's all cold. They got crawfish, they got lobster, they've got everything you can think of. They have there sushi, and then you go into the next room, and then there's all the hot food, all the 15 chafing dishes full of everything, and a guy carving down at the end. He's carving roast beef, and he's carving turkey, and he's and then in the ante room is the dessert bar.
Nice.
So they would never let us pay because it's a club and it gets charged. But I know that it was $125 at least a person.
Yeah.
And they would just a table of 10, no problem.
But see, there again, okay, the quality is there, and you don't mind spending that kind of money,
It was so good. I mean, it was about the best meal you could possibly think of because everything fresh, well prepared, and there was plenty of it.
In the other podcast that I did with this, sort of kicked this off and how I was going about it. In the place where I worked, the Yankee Clipper, they had, this is going back now, late 80s, early into the 90s. They had a champagne brunch every Sunday. Okay, that would go from 10 till 2. All right. And we had omelet station, okay, which Senior Tom was running. Then we had a carving station. Then we had a seafood station, oyster station, and it just kept going. And then all desserts were made in-house by this one woman, Angie, I think her name was. She had the most screechiest voice you ever heard in your life. And it would go through the back of the kitchen, So, and one kid that worked with us, his name is Jose, and she would scream, Jose! And I'd say, he's busy right now. Try Hose B. And that's how me and her got along. But she would make fresh mozzarella. She made everything, right there. All the tiramisus. So it was $19.99. It was $20 a person. And it was known as the Champagne Brunch. Back then, that was a lot of money.
Yeah.
And they would known for their mimosas, okay? And they would come around. It was all complimentary. They would go around. And Charlie, back then, that's when fat was no good and all the carbs you can eat was great. We had a pasta station, the whole bit. So I'd have a line, people coming up, and I had 4 burners going. You had the whites on with the big hat, all right? And doing omelets, and you get one idiot would stand in front of you and say, "Do you have an egg white omelet? Get out!" I became like
the egg Nazi,
like Jackie Gleason. Get out!
Oh, the soup Nazi on Seinfeld.
Yeah. So
2 eggs for you.
What a place it was, and just putting out all the stuff. And then downstairs was a pub, so it was all pub food and stuff like that. So I was the sous chef. I'd get my marching orders from the chef. He'd get in the car and leave. And there I am. You know what I mean? So we would do a whole steamship at night. Okay, we'd put in just before we were getting ready to leave at the end of the shift, season it all up, put it in, and that would be for the carving station. 2 turkeys. A couple hams, and that's what they would do. What a great experience, other than the egg white omelets. But and then they had actually musicians coming in, jazz musicians. I'm not a big jazz guy, but these guys were pretty famous from New York, and they would come down and do their Sunday brunch gig at the Yankee Clipper, right across the street from the ocean. was great.
I tell you, the parallels in our lives are almost undeniable because in Ocean City, Maryland, where I grew up, there's a Yankee Clipper. I didn't work there. We used to go there all the time. And it was this, I mean, it was, one of the nicer places in Ocean City. And I do remember it. And I do remember when Sunday brunches and when I was working in clubs, especially when I was in high school, I was on the carving station. So I was carving the beef. And I said, I'm not really good with this. You sure you want me? Oh, yeah, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. And some of the things would be, but this then, and others would be, but like that. I was like, I wasn't the best. I learned, but my knife skills were kind of average. But yeah, just the parallels growing up on the East Coast, and then just everything is just the more we talk, the more I say, I have an experience like that.
Yeah, we used to go down to we just not Marco. I mean, that's from Florida. Used to go down into Maryland there, and we'd stay at a I can't remember the name of it now. Boy, I tell you, but all I know is across it was right on the ocean where we stayed, and like the next block up, going out into the highway, was this place called Coins. Okay. Uh-huh. And the owner, he played in the band. It was his band, and then they had the bar and dining. And you would sit there, and Charlie, I got to tell you, to this day, I can't match it. I don't know how they did it, but they would make crab cakes, but it wasn't in the traditional way. It was in a ceramic boat, okay, that they put under a broiler, but it was all lumped crab meat, okay, fantastic. There's no hardly any breading in it whatsoever. And then they had what they called Old Bay shrimp. Okay, shrimp in the rough, all right, with onions, Old Bay, hot, and they would come out. If you sat at the bar, they would come out and put a paper in front of you and dump the shrimp onto the paper. And you'd sit there with ice cold beer. We were supposed to go out to another fancier joint at night. I told my wife, I'm staying right here. Keep them coming. Keep that shrimp coming, a cold beer and stuff like that, music playing. Great place. Yeah. We used to go to Fager's Island, I think it was.
Oh, yeah, Fager's Island, sure.
Okay, one place there, I can't remember the name of it again, but the prime rib, they were known for prime rib. And they would come out and shave the
Is it Nick Idoni's prime rib?
No, it was another.
That is a place that's way, it's 150th Street, way up.
And then we stayed at a place that was in the Round. There was a Round Hotel.
Oh, that could be.
Oh, man, I
don't think it was Bobby Baker's because he was probably in jail by then. Bobby Baker was a hotel guy in Ocean City, and he was big friends with Lyndon Johnson, and got in trouble lobbying or something or other. But then his place went away. But his was only a half moon. Yeah, Ocean City was interesting. But we were it's 150 blocks from when they start counting numbered streets. Mm-hmm. So if you figure 10 blocks to a mile, you're going, it's 15 plus miles from one end of Ocean City to the other. Mm-hmm. And so there's a lot of stuff in there. And we probably stayed most of the time near the boardwalk, which goes up to maybe 35th Street, something like that.
I'd be damned if I can remember the name of the hotel. Yeah, pretty famous. I mean, actually, they had a tiny little bar, okay, and they had all these different high end drinks and stuff, and they had King Louis, all right, and there was like 6 of us, I guess. So my brother ordered 6 King Louis. Okay,
is it more than the Bird Steakhouse?
It was. Oh yeah, it was. Yeah. It was like $400 a shot. Okay. So they were having high tea. All the old biddies were out in a little patio, and they're quiet, and piano player. So one lady said to the manager, "Can you quiet them people in at the bar?" And he said, "Absolutely not." He said, "They're spending $400 a shot on stuff." He said, "You'll have to skip this one here, ma'am. Sorry about that." But it was like a ritual. We'd get a bunch of us that would go down, and we'd stay stay at the place and go to Coins and all different restaurants and stuff like that. It was a lot of fun.
You take the ferry over, or do you just drive down from?
No, we take the ferry. We would take the ferry. Nice, easy little break, and then get into it. Interesting place, Ocean City, Maryland. It really is interesting.
Haven't been there. My mom had a place, and after she died, I never really went back to Ocean City because we say the Delaware beaches were more where I spent my 20s and 30s at Rehoboth Beach and Dewey Beach and Lewis. Not so much Lewis. We just went to. There's a couple of good restaurants there, but Dewey Beach and Rehoboth and Bethany Beach were our go-tos, and then Ocean City ran right up to the Delaware line, and then right over the Delaware line, you get into Bethany, and then Dewey Beach, and then Rehoboth.
Yeah. We used to go down early on. We would go down to Seaside Heights or Seaside Park. Okay, and they had a place down there called Bum Rogers. All right, Bum Rogers was was a crab shack. Okay, and they made crabs 4 or 5 different ways, but the garlic crabs were phenomenal. So if you asked for,
you're talking about hard shell crabs,
blue claws, okay, and we would get the garlic crabs all the time and a couple pictures of beer. They put the newspaper out on the table, give you the crackers, the whole bit, and dump them, onto the table.
Right.
And you just keep going with them. Just keep going. Take them to go, the whole bit. It was a great place. Opened up a lot of eyes for people. A lot of people don't like blue claws, okay? But, I mean, you just want to sit around and just, throw the bologna out and crack some crabs and eat them up like that. Fantastic. But there were a lot of great places in New Jersey that we would go to. But back in that day when I was working, on my days off, I would go to a couple different places. One was Jimmy Burns. He had a place in New York on 57th Street, club where all would hang out, all the celebrities and stuff like that. He opened this place in New Jersey, and he would hire chefs to come in and cook whatever their specialties were. I thought that was a great concept. So every week he had somebody else coming in. If not, he would have one of his cooks, do something like that. So it's a big, wide open thing like that, and I miss that. I miss that kind of atmosphere. You can go and have a good time, with some people. But
we grew up eating crabs. I mean, that was they were as noticeable in towns all over, up and down, especially in Maryland. Not even out on the Chesapeake or out into the ocean. And that's exactly what you said. They are so expensive now. I remember, you get a dozen for like $20 back then. So when we were in Cincinnati, we decided we wanted to have a crab feast, and you couldn't find them, of course. I had to get there was a Vietnamese restaurant guy I knew who could order them. They got them, and it was $100 a bushel. So this was back in probably the late 90s, maybe right around 2000, 99, 2000, $100 a bushel. They're $400 a bushel now.
Yeah. I go to this one Philippine store, Seafood City out here, and they got a big barrel of them. They're all females, okay, which was back in my day, it was no. You didn't, you didn't need the females.
Yeah.
The whole barrel's full of them, and they are, I think they are something like $15 or $16 a dozen.
Yeah,
no, I'm sorry, a pound.
A pound. I was going to say a dozen. That is
yeah.
And Maryland crab meat or Maryland crab cakes are crab meat. That's it.
Yeah.
Couple of spices here and there, but there's no filler. There's no vegetables. There's no anything. It's lump crab meat. That's Maryland crab cakes. So if anybody has Maryland crab cakes and they got all this other stuff in it, they ain't Maryland crab cakes.
That's right. Exactly right. 100% right. We used to make our claim to fame in the restaurant was £1.25 to £1.25. No, I'm sorry, £1.50 to £2 lobsters is what we would buy every day. We had a 500 gallon lobster tank, and we would buy them fresh every day. What we would do is steam them, crack them, clean them out, and I'd stuff them with scallops, shrimp, crab meat. Okay, that was in the stuffer. Butter, white wine, into the oven, into the broiler. Brown them up a little bit, and out they went. Okay, Charlie, you're gonna freak out what it was. It was $8.95 a lobster. $8.95.
Not bad.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, times have changed, but you know what? Now it's all micro stuff. You know, it's all the going into infusion. You know, all these different fusion places. Which nothing wrong with it, but it's not my cup of tea. It's just
Right.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on. All right, before we get out of here, I want you to do a little bit more explaining about what you got coming up and where
Sure.
where you can be found. I should have did a little more on it to put it up there, but you can get everything through Cooking Secrets for Men, right?
Cooking Secrets for Men is the main channel. Then the show I've been doing for a couple of years called Cooking with Milwaukee Community Leaders. I'm still doing that. And then back on my feet. So we have community leaders come in from some politicians or education or nonprofit leaders, and then we talk about their work in the community, and then we cook something, and then we eat it. So again, another dodge for me to be able to have someone cook me a meal. And it runs the gamut from our mayor, our congresswoman, down to people working in the toiling in anonymity in nonprofits, that working with the homeless, working with people with mental illness, and just trying to make our city a better place.
Yeah.
And they all have interesting stories, and they all come prepared to cook something, and we have a good time doing it. I mean, it's just one of those fun things that people with serious jobs having a little fun.
Yeah.
So that's one, and then the other one I just started. And that's also available as a podcast separately on all the podcast places. And then Munching Around Milwaukee is this one that's more foodie oriented, but it also has a food component because so anyone who's a food influencer who comes in, we will have this fresh meal prep from Milwaukee who makes fresh meals. He will come and give us. He's our sponsor, so he brings meals for us to eat. And when the chef comes on, the chef's going to bring something from their restaurant, and then we'll talk about that and the inspiration and stuff. So it's just, and then we're still the international collabs also that you and I are involved with.
I was going to bring that up too. Yeah.
Are you? Do you got your Yemen thing done?
Yeah, it's ready to go. Sort of got rusty with it because I didn't do. I don't think I did December or January. November and December. November and December, I didn't do anything on. I had a lot of different things going on. It's I take my grandson to and from work, so
right.
my times are this and that. But I got Yemen done, and that's what I wanted to touch on. And I sort of lost track here with it. How compatible foods are. I don't care where you go. Okay, you go down into Mexico City, you can have a taco. Go to Yemen, flatbread. Okay, almost the same components on it and stuff like that. So we are really close as far as food is concerned. Other than something off the wall, like dried frog. You get what I'm saying here.
Yeah.
So these international collabs, I think, are fantastic. I'm glad to be a part of it. Thank you for inviting me in, and I see we got some new people coming in too.
Yeah. I do enjoy them. It's the one part of the shows that I do take up a lot of time. Both the editing and the prepping, and then this is kind of a respite for me, that to be creative and put something together that's different, that's not an everyday thing, but it's still something you can make. As long I try to make it and maybe westernize it and make it my own a little bit, instead of being true to whatever nationality there is. So there's a way to substitute or make it your own, which is what I do.
Yeah.
So people can make what we're making, and not feel that it's, Yemen, I can't make anything from Yemen. I says, well, it's lamb, it's rice, it's spices. Cooking
chicken.
for
I mean, there's a
yeah,
whole array of food
yeah.
that
So
they
it's
have.
but it's I like, as you do, doing research, understanding about the culture that we're dealing with, the just kind of the history of some of the countries, and how the food fits in, the cuisine fits into
Yeah.
lifestyle, and it's an enjoyable, creative outlet that beats, how many, we've talked about this. How many different ways can you smoke a brisket?
Exactly.
Let's do it for 6 hours. Let's do it for 7 hours. No, these are just a little bit different, a little bit off the wall. And I'm going to be in Florida, so I have to do my St. Patrick's one before I go to Florida, because I won't get back until. So I'll do that a little bit ahead of time. So you have to plan a little bit. But I do thoroughly enjoy, and I enjoy the camaraderie. I was almost going to call you and ask you to be my proxy this week. But I looked at my guest for the show on Saturday is coming in an hour early, but I still have time. So that I thought it was at, person's coming in at 9 and I'm at 9, but I'm at 9 Eastern. So I'm actually at 8.
Yeah.
I'm good.
That's what sort of throws me off a little bit too, because mine's 8:30, but it's 11:30 out here. I mean,
Right.
11:30 on East Coast and there. But it's fun. I enjoy it. I really do like it. And you know what?
What are you doing What are you doing? It sounded like
Man.
you're doing something with flatbread.
Yeah, what I'm doing is I'm doing a chicken kofta kebab. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Interesting how they do it with the mixed vegetables in it. Also, ground chicken. I never, ever, ever work with ground chicken. I just don't. I don't care for it. In other words, but I grind my own in this video. And the way they make these, they're flat, okay, and that they take their 3 fingers, and that's the signature. I couldn't get it to hold up, all right, but that's how they do it. So here's the similarity. It is, you could do this in a meatball, okay, and it's done the same way, but only with chicken and stuff like that. So can be with rice, but I decided to go with flatbread instead.
Well, let me your point about ground chicken. I'm going to respectfully disagree. I think ground chicken absorbs more flavor than any other ground protein, in my opinion. I've used it for Asian lettuce wraps. I've used it for chicken meatballs, and they just absorb the flavor more than beef does, more than pork does, and certainly more than lamb does. So lamb is in and of itself.
Very dry.
If you have something that's a little bit different, I would not make a chicken burger. But chicken with Asian spices, give it a shot. Ground chicken.
Yeah. No, what I meant is I don't particularly care for buying it pre-ground.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'd rather grind it myself. Yeah, I'd rather do it myself that way, because just with all the food recalls right now is ridiculous, right. So just rather than doing it that way, I'll just.
You got a problem with a little salmonella?
Yeah, I do. He was a good friend of mine. He was from Brooklyn. Salmonella.
Probably salmonella.
But yeah, I mean, I totally agree with it. I mean, it's just it's a good way of bringing people together. And I got to tell you, I had one person send me a message, actually sent me an email, went through the trouble to go to my channel and send me an email about the video I did about America, okay, about the food. And I did rippers, okay, from a place called Rutt's Hut in Clifton, New Jersey.
Right.
And the guy said he's from Jersey. He said, yeah. And he says, you pulled it off. You did it. You did a good, you did him justice. And I could just picture the guy, his lingo. But yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. Some of it, can it be challenging? I haven't found anything that we've done so far where I had to go out of my way to go get something special or anything else like that.
Right.
Most of the stuff we have on hand. That's why I'm saying the similarities, okay,
yeah,
are unbelievable. So yeah, it was pretty good. Pretty good. So I'm going to wind this down a little bit. I don't want to go too much longer. The whole idea of this thing here is to bring people aware of what we're cooking, how we're cooking it, and start cooking at home. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean,
Absolutely.
we give you some shortcuts of how to do it, and the camaraderie is unbelievable. Bat, how you doing? The camaraderie is tremendous. I appreciate you very much, Charlie, because for all your support that you give me, and I really do appreciate it.
And Marie.
Oh yeah, you kidding?
Paisan.
Yeah,
Let's
exactly.
stick together.
Unbelievable. Okay, with that said, I think we're going to wrap it up. Charlie, if you could just hang out until I end this here.
Sure.
And
thank you so much, Tom. I always appreciate coming on and talking about food and everything else.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, everybody. Thanks for watching. We're going to pull this plug here. Today's guest is Charlie from Cooking Secrets for Men. Let's go to the show.